Welcome back. Today is World Press Freedom Day, and that's why we're having this conversation about how free really is the press in Nigeria, maybe around the world. We're being joined by our very own environmental and environment correspondent, as well as our head of programs here in Channels Television, Ayola Kasim. Welcome to the program.
Glad to be here. First time on Morning Brief, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together.
No,
we dragged you out.
It's something weird in telling your colleague, like, you almost forget and start gisting things that are off.
Right? We've been gisting, right? Actually, ask, do you know my name, right?
So let's talk about this issue of press freedom. Depends on which part you're looking at. So my general question as a starter will be, in your view, how free is the press in the country called Nigeria?
Well, why would an environment journalist be talking about press freedom in the first instance, right? Let's go there. So it's because of this year, they've decided to look at, the reporting the planet, like the green environmental crisis. So the press freedom in reporting that. Really, if you look at it all across the world, even in America, is the free press really free? Can we really say that we are free? X will be telling you that that's the only place that you can come and talk, and everybody is angry with Elon Musk right now because of everything that is being said and all that, because he's saying, oh, it's free speech, you can come, and then the government will go after him and say, why are you allowing people to do this why are they violating this thing? And some of us get it even irritated with what is going on there, right? So that is why sometimes some things you see that you really want to report, even you as a journalist, like, I would like to do this story. I remember a story that we did in Lagos, and then the president had to come. And then when the president came, we thought, like, oh, we're just trying to show you the decadence here at the police college. And, and the look on his face, I know. My bosses were afraid for me, like, I hope you're okay. They were calling me. It happened. It's sometimes you do a story that you think that, yes, I'm telling, even from the people whose story you're telling. I can't count the number of times I've been to some places that you have to empty your pockets because you want to report on this story. So when we talk about the freedom of the press, most times everybody look at the government, but what about the people? Whose story you're telling? Do they want you to tell that story? There's so many areas across the country like that I've been to. Now we come back, you're like, come on, I don't think I want to do that again.
And it's quite an interesting one. We've come quite far, really, from television, radio, and the press. Where press started, because press essentially means printing. You're pressing something. Press has been, for decades in Nigeria. So some will say we've come far when you count it by the years and decades. But in terms of the quality as well, we've come far because we have quality in our industry. And the point you raised about not just being government, but a people thing is a point that resonates really. You go cover things and you come back with the damaged equipment.
I know.
You come back with
they're almost beating you.
Exactly. And someone was reminding me of a particular incident. I was telling me we were there together when they broke your camera and I helped you out. I'd say thank you anyway. The person is a politician, by the way. So, by the way, we'll have someone else joining us, a veteran journalist and broadcaster, to sort of balance this, talk about where we're coming from and where we're at right now. But when we talk particularly about the context of a current global environmental crisis, what are the things that people need to know that sometimes they look away from because there's a question of, is this a conspiracy? Is this true? This has been happening anyway. What's the point? You face that a lot. So speak to us about the environmental context.
So call it climate denialists. But so then, I remember the UN Deputy Secretary General, we all know her. This is Amina Mohammed. Yeah. She was our Minister of Environment. I remember having this one-on-one with her. And they're like, oh, everybody, when we say congratulations and all, it's not in like how people think that, oh, Minister of Environment, that's the sanitation lady. And that's the truth, because even some ministers, some commissioners think that, okay, when you talk about them, is an integral part of the environment, making sure the environment is clean, they go around, clean under the bridge, making sure that you clean up, you have sanitation days. But just a very minute part of it. I think the environment ministry has to be the focal point for all the other ministries, because, okay, we started doing this, like producing EdFile, seriously, 2009. And to my mind, I felt like, oh, that was Copenhagen, COP15 that time. I'm like, this one, in the next 2 years, we're going to finish. Here we are. We're still doing EdFile. We're signing new deals with different organizations that want to partner with us. So that shows there's a big deal.
Yeah.
And then we now realize that, there was Ebola. By the time you traced it, they traced it to the environment. There was COVID. They traced to the environment. Now they're talking about meningitis up north. It's because of the increase in temperature. So the thing is it's even in financing, in terrorism, NATO, even I'm sure Nigeria, in some ways, they're talking about environment. At COP28, the Nigerian police was there.
All right.
And then, you see, it just affects our lives. Every time, just power your computer now, and then you see it there. You see that it shows there on the right, the panel, like it will show you cloudy, record high. This year, I've lost count of the time I've seen record high temperature. So it's going up, and then you get out, it's very sweating. You're like, God, I'm so hot.
Wow.
And that is it. It's just our action. Though our own situation in Nigeria is peculiar, because we don't just care about some of the things, but in some ways now we're moving into El Nino, which is like the warm water. The ocean is warm. So the temperature is going to be very, very high. El Nino in Spanish is little boy, I think. La Lina is the little girl, which is cool water. So we thank God, like between 2020 and 2022, the temperature was not so bad. But last year was the hottest year on record, and this year we're supposed to be having rainy season. People are supposed to be planting their corn now, but your planet is going to be fried by the sun. So, oh dear,
because I'm planting corn right now.
do. I have a little garden, so I'm always. My ugu was fried earlier this year, so I've not planted another, because you're always rushing out of the house, or you're coming back late, so you didn't really water it. And I'm like, God, this thing, and I could see it being fried by the sun, like gradually being like just feeling.
That's a new recipe, fried ugu.
It just dried up. Everything dried up. All the vegetables, everything you will see it. So you have to put in effort to make sure, and that affects our food security. We don't talk about that. That's environment affecting our food security. And then how some will say, how can you lead that with security and all that? That's security. And when NATO is talking about how to adapt their gears, because the temperature is warm, so you know how they are kitted, the military, they are kitted and all. So they have to know how this temperature is affecting their health, so that they can perform their duties right. And then when we talk about Nigeria, everybody talk about, Boko Haram, they're taking over their land, they're doing this one. They're moving up there. Have you been to their roots before? It is their lifestyle. They said they are migrants and all that. The Fulani, they move around, But then their roots, there's nothing there. So they have to look for where the vegetation is, which is the farmlands. So they come. So why can't we go to the root cause of everything? Which is, this thing is drying up. Can we do something about that?
The Lake Chad Basin, right?
Well, Lake Chad, yes. Lake Chad is drying up. Some will argue it. There's one thing about environment, I would say to everybody.
So it's debatable.
Exactly. So everybody talk about IPCC reports. Sorry, sometimes because I speak too much with these scientists, sometimes I sound like them, because I tell them, teach me like I'm 5-year-old, because they speak all this. So the IPCC report saying that, our climate is warming. To make sure that we don't die from the heat, we maintain the temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius, between 1.5 degrees Celsius and 2 degrees Celsius. So in the IPCC report, the people that say there's no climate change have an excuse there. The data is there. The people that say, there's climate change, the data is there. So if the data is good, I'm sure we've had this conversation, as a person that's holding it. It depends, it's subject to interpretation. But then ask the farmer what is going on. They will tell you. Local knowledge, they will tell you. Now we're supposed to be planting corn. We are waiting for the rain.
Well, thank you for the heads up, Ayola. And because of some of these issues that you have raised is the reason the United Nations is driving attention to the environment with the theme of this year's celebration of World Press Freedom Day. But some would say that, look, it is because of the underreporting of environmental issues that we are where we are today. You know, you talked about Lake Chad Basin, and you just drew the words right out of my mouth. Some would say Lake Chad Basin is drying, you know, but we don't have a mental picture of what it was like when it was in its full bloom and what it is now. That could be attributed to lack of reportage, vivid reportage with data and with visual images about what it was like. So a journalist, you know, part of the problem about where we are today as far as the adverse effects of climate change.
Okay, so it's our business is called show business, right? Though we are doing news. So we have the business side of it, which is to make money. And then we have the show side of it, which is to tell it as it is, like, oh, this is what is going on. But then if you put politics today, like if you're discussing politics, you see the number of, like now, okay, let's go to social media now. On our social media channel, if you put Politics Today and you put FR there, when Politics Today is having like 10,000 views, S-File is struggling to have 100 views. So that is, are the people willing to listen? Like the United Nations Environment Program Executive Director said, he said, we've been speaking, but who is listening? So that's it. So now my boss is going to pay my salary, right? And then he's like, Ayola, I like you. And I can tell you, my boss likes me. Because when we talk, he said, oh, you know, our environment, Ayola, what is it today? You know, it's at some point, I said, sir, please, you know, he wants to talk about it. But then, how many people? Even China is one of those doing very well. We have 2 environment programs. Focus, basically, it's our CSR. It's not like anything. Do you understand? But then, how many people are tuning in to learn?
So the big question now is, what can be done to bring a sense of urgency? Because there's what you've explained when you look at instability, food security, and all the chains. There has to be a sense of emergency or urgency that a lot of people don't have. What do we do to bring that sense of urgency?
Right, we've been reporting it. So I want to draw experience, you know, reporting the crisis. So in 2022 was the last time I was really, really active. I've been reporting, but then, you know, going into the field to do that, we have the visual. I remember coming back from, I think we went from Abuja, Nasarawa, Benue, the food crisis, the flood.
The flood, yeah.
And then, and we got, you know, we did all these things, we just like, let's go and do it, we're excited about it. And it was when I was putting everything together and you sat down in the edit suite and you're editing. And I saw myself, you know, we used drone shot. And I was looking at myself like, wow, that was a big risk. No life jacket, nothing. Because you got there was no life jacket there, you are already here, you have to tell the story. So you're there, you're putting in all your effort, and then you became a speck right there. That
landmass.
Yes, it's
on
not
water.
On water.
Body.
And then I'm like, you know, that was when it occurred to me, like, this is a lot of risk we are taking to tell the story. So we are there. All we just need is just people to just listen. Just listen to it. They might say that, even if it is okay. If it is like, oh, conspiracy theory, okay, accept. As a journalist, I listen to you, I'm not on anybody's side. Accept. But then, why is the sun uncomfortably hot? Why is the temperature increasing? Shouldn't we do something about that? Like when it is cold, when it is hot inside, we put on the AC, right? But just go outside and see what is happening. It's dead hot where the compressor is, right? So can't we just do something? Plant a tree. That's all we're saying. Plant a tree. Now in Nigeria, we have solar panel manufacturing plants. Women are leading the way. You know, they're working in the plant. So we're doing that. So we're telling the story. We just want people to listen. And that's what the World Freedom this year, they're saying, you know, like people are putting, in some countries, they're killing environment journalists for telling the story. I know somebody that had to flee the country, you know, because of reporting one thing or the other. You put your life, there was a time we were going to the Niger Delta, my cameraman is times 3. I had to make sure that I had this person that is big. We went to Bakassi, spending 3 hours on water, crossing that place. And you better be careful what you say, because somebody can just be, even in Lagos, there's some areas, once you go and tell their story, you have to be very careful. Now it's not even the government, it's actually now the people. And then after you say it and then somebody does not like what you're saying in government, then is another, after you've thought that, oh, at least I've been able to, I've come out from a problem of the people, then
so it's like there's problem
everywhere.
But the truth is, as journalists, we're married to the truth.
I know.
And it's a marriage for life. So,
I know.
whether
I know,
they
sometimes you
like
ask
it
yourself, why am I even doing this? Why am I doing
You
this?
always have to tell the
I guess
story.
it's a calling you can't run away from.
Yes,
It's
and
a
then you
solemn
get home.
responsibility.
You get home, and there are times you couldn't sleep. There was one place we went in Kenya. Myself and my cameraman, we didn't know when we started. That's precious. God bless him. We didn't know when we were just bringing out what was in our pocket. It is the biggest slum in Africa. That's in Kenya.
Oh, yeah.
We came out and, I couldn't enter the hotel room. I was afraid I was going to carry something in there. Like, oh my God. You could see everything, like everything was crawling all over your body. And you're living, apart from yourself, then at some point you start seeing them in your dreams. You're like, oh my God, why? You're like, I've seen journalists that, you know what, I can't do this again.
Yeah.
Because some people think you have it good. I mean, you're comfortable. But because of the story you've seen, the people you've seen, everything you've seen, they think that. But then we just want people to listen. Just listen to that which we are saying.
It's not so much to ask for.
So I'm just wondering that the people that are responsible for this heat that we're experiencing, this global north that we talk about, this, and people have said they are hypocrites, literally, because when we see what happened at COP28 and the funding we expected to raise and what eventually came to the purse, it looks like, okay, is this really an emergency? I would like you to speak to that as well, because you were there.
Oh, God. Yes, we were there. And then many people, if you remember COP28, it was the political aspect of it that people were talking about. Oh, that's so many people. I was one of those people whose name was on the list sponsored by government. Government didn't sponsor me. But then they were distributing one list about. But at COP28, you have to be in the room where the money is being discussed for you to get it. Of course, we have to, like the loss and damage fund, now people are saying that, please, the way the fund is being managed, we don't want it warehoused at the World Bank so that it won't go like the Global Education Fund. Even the people in the Global Education Fund, they're complaining, like, no, don't let it be like ours. Let it be domiciled elsewhere so that it won't go into technocrats and the funding of the people, their citizen coming to tackle. So we're talking about the knowledge share capabilities, teaching our people how to use these technologies, which is why I'm so shocked with myself for covering that. That's the solar panel production plan in Lagos. It might look as if, oh, why are you giving it? But then we've started little. So we are growing that. So those are the things that we want. But then for us to be able to get that at COP28, people are saying we're too many. The people negotiating for us, there are not many people in the rooms.
So numbers matters in the room.
Exactly. You have to be, and they respect Nigeria. We have numbers and we are. So when we talk, some people like, okay.
You didn't say that out loud.
No, I didn't say that.
But what about execution? Some of those gains from COP28 that Nigeria and even some other African countries reportedly secured, have you begun to see implementation in those countries?
There is like the solar panel place that I told the organization, they are increasing their funding. They are moving from Lagos, I think, to Benue now. Those things you get in conferences like that, because you go to where there are more than 6,000 events at COP28. Some is basically you come and pitch your idea. So when you're on the panel like this, you're telling them, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. And somebody will just pick interest. And that's where they're going to spend the money. It's not like you're just going to be somewhere and then somebody will be telling you, oh, okay, you are from Nigeria. We know that climate change is really affecting you. So we want to come and, no, you have to show us what you're going to do with the money. But the thing we're now saying that, okay, if you're going to, don't do government, can we go into the communities? Because if it is community-led, like our Red Plus program, now we're going into carbon market. So people are saying, of course, there's some people that will say that, oh, carbon market, that means you're telling polluters to keep polluting. There's no perfect solution to anything. Even this green solar that we are talking about, the solar technology, the disposal of it is still dirty. We're still reporting that. Of course, somebody is angry with us reporting that. So what is our job? To show the pros and the cons. So that when we see the pros, when you see the cons, you look for ways to turn it around. And that's the beauty of renewable energy, of circular economy. No waste is waste until you waste it. So what can you do with this waste such that it's not bad? It doesn't pollute the environment, doesn't cause more damage to the environment. So when you're like, oh, I'm going to use this cup, I have to think of the shelf life of this cup and the end life on this cup. Okay, the producer, this is called the producer's end life responsibility. They have to be responsible for it as well. So I'm using this cup. So when I'm tired with this cup, because as a human being, change is the only thing that is constant in our lives, right? So I'm like, oh, I'm tired of this cup. So what do I do with this? That's I need help as a consumer. So I'm hoping that the producer will come in and help me with it. Don't just leave me with it. And our own spaces too. You have to do so many things to change your lifestyle. Lifestyle changes, plant trees, even ordinary potted plants. Just put it there. They say it produces oxygen, takes the CO2. As we are here now, we are producing CO2. Your CO2, my CO2. So let's just have one plant that will take my own CO2. Your plant, take your CO2. Right. Your plant, take CO2.
And we give them what we
exactly.
And they give us oxygen.
Exactly.
They give us oxygen, we give them CO2.
But I wanted to ask this. So we've been able to sort of identify, as you said, it's debatable, but at least it looks like there's some data that supports that, okay, a lot of our activities are responsible for what we're seeing in the environment, the heat and the rest. Again, the flip side is there's always been global warming. Were you there in the 1600s when it was really hot and the rest? So we've been able to identify, our emissions and the rest. So it's like we know the solution, right? But it looks like we are doing everything not to go towards the solution. Some will say it's as drastic as if we know that what we're doing would ruin our world, why don't we think about abandoning our vehicles, for example, and sort of rethink our lives, maybe opt for bicycles and the rest? So why is it that the more we identify the problem, the more we move away from addressing that problem? So we look for ways to go around and say, okay, you know what, let's do something else, but not address that problem.
I thought you loved me.
It's a tough.
I know. So just go back to, okay, I ride bicycle. Is it very comfortable? If I want to carry this, when I come to the office, I have my handbag, I have my computer bag. Of course, you can say that you can put that on, you can have a carrier and then put it on. But then I'm going to drive along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Yeah. How many people? The biker, the irony, the countries where they have bike lanes, they are angry with the pedestrians because you're walking like
on the bike lane.
Yes. So the cars are angry with the bikers.
The bikes are angry with the pedestrians.
So there's always human being. We always change. We always want something to gripe about. And then you talk about the solution. Let's take Nigeria, for instance. We have fuel crisis. We're dependent on fuel. So in the rooms, they're saying that for the first time at COP28, fossil fuel will be like, look for a way to phase it out. And then my country pops to mind. I said, oh, are you guys serious? That is our mainstay. That is what is feeding Nigeria.
That's our bread and butter.
Thank you. And you're telling us we should not do it. Are you okay? Are you sure? Remember, fossil fuel is part of the problem. They've used it to develop. That is, the developed countries have used it to develop.
They've used their coals and the rest.
They're still using their coal. I didn't say that.
Yes, they are still using it.
They have to go back to it after
Yes, we know they are still. What happened with
their coal?
What happened in Russia? They use their coal.
Because at the end of the day, it's the human life that we are all trying to protect. Nigeria now, let us turn off all our fuel taps. What happens? So we have to do, so Nigeria now, we are talking about the transition fuel, which is the gas. Of course, some people are already angry with us. No, don't preach that. How can you say transition fuel? It's also emitting. It's total phase down.
Oh, CNG and the rest, they say it's
true. They emit. But then who is talking about the dark side of renewables?
right.
So there's no perfect solution. It's just how we manage it, which is why I said it has to be circular. Don't waste it unless, like, this nice suit, you get tired of it. What do you do with it?
But
I remix it.
even with imperfect solutions, what about our own response at home? And let me tell you ahead of time, I love you, but I'm still going to ask this question. What about our own response at home, besides all of those partnerships that we secure at COP28 and with international partners? And one thing that comes to mind immediately is the green wall. One time we hear the House saying that we absorb the green wall of
the Great Green Wall, you mean?
Great Green Wall of the billions of naira fraud in tree planting, and then we hear again that there's a fraud. We could talk about Kogi during the 2022 flood. The state was practically submerged. And these things are obvious to the blind and loud enough for the deaf. What is happening to our environment budgets, our ecological budgets?
Please, the minister, what is happening to the ecological fund? She wants to know. I've just done that. That's my reporting. I've just reported live on Morning Brief.
I'm reporting from Morning Brief.
And people like to know what is happening.
I ask questions. That's the easy way out. I want you to.
I don't answer
break
questions.
it down.
I ask the questions. So just ask the question.
So because we realize that one of the funds that are, susceptible to being stolen, allegedly I must add, is all of this ecological fund, which is why I asked that question of urgency. Because it feels like until the walls break down and things literally distort our life and livelihood, we don't seem to move, which is what I want you to really speak to. How much, now that we have some of these ecological fund, how best can we deploy them? You've been in that space. You understand how these things work.
So we start with, okay, you're talking about floods. Okay, you talked about even the Great Green Wall. Some will argue that we are actually in the regard, we are not as, I think Senegal, I'm not very sure now. I think Senegal is the poster child of the Great Green Wall. They're doing very well. And then it's from Djibouti down up there. So they are trying to make sure to drive the drought, the desertification back. That's what the Great Green Wall is supposed to do, is meant to do, to just drive back so when you plant trees, they're trying to do that. Then talking about the ecological fund, now all we hear is move away from the floodplains, move away from, so why can't we dredge the rivers? Like in Kogi, Benue River, Niger River, when you go there now, you will cross the river, it's dry. Why can't we dredge it? I will ask, why can't we use the ecological fund? Of course, there might be reason why they can. Why can't they tell us why they can't use the ecological fund to dredge that river?
Some engineers are saying that even for dredging as a solution, it comes with some risks, of losing aquatic life.
I've spoken to different people. There's always one thing or the other. There's always, as I said, there's no perfect solution to any problem. But as of now, we are having this problem. So are we just going to leave it? Are we just going to leave it because there's no perfect solution?
So maybe, I know you say whether we love you, but you're here, you're our guest. At this point, we're the ones asking the question. Luckily for us.
No, sorry, just part of me to ask questions.
So we'll drag you into this Lagos-Calabar coastal road. What do you see as an environment correspondent? All of us, different people see different things. Tourists see different things. The government sees well for their optics, so it's going to be a landmark project. Everybody will see different things. But when an environmentalist or environment correspondent looks at that line cutting across 9 states of this country along the coastal line with what will be done in the long run, what do you see?
You remember the superhighway, the Calabar superhighway? that Ayade, I think,
Yes.
we're going to build, and then we destroy all the forest. I was there. I covered that. Of course, they gave this brilliant reason why they had to do it, and then they destroy one of our biodiversity hotspots in the country, some part of it, and then the EIA and all that. All I just want to say is, like, let them put the EIA on the table, saying that the environment is not impacted and no biodiversity is lost. I'm for development, but in developing, we don't have to hurt people. We don't have to hurt nature. We have to live in harmony with nature. So in building this, are you not going to destroy anything along the path that will affect human? Of course, investments are being affected as we speak, and I sympathize with everybody, affected. But then we have to develop. But in developing, are we not creating another problem that we don't, we have to, now we can't just think that I need to drink water. No, you have to think, I hope there is a restroom around. Do you understand? When you carry that glass of water, you say, I hope there's restroom around.
Okay.
That's how we should be thinking now.
There's a lot. When it comes to your own case, there's a lot to talk about that.